Welcome, warrior, to Rip Daddy's exclusive Swiss Alps Hillside Lodge. I am your host, Dave Makes Noises, and today we're whittling down the finer points of our finest improvised weapons, and go. Now, by improvised weapon, I don't just mean something like I pick up the chair and smash it over his head. While those stories are also very much appreciated, I'm looking for the cases where you essentially took a bunch of random objects you had with you and turned it into a rather powerful weapon. My best example I can give is this. Although I have not gotten the chance to actually do this myself, I plan to abuse the items I started with. Specifically using my Pirate Ninja Fusion character Taratil. He's a gold dragon-born shadow monk with a pirate background, which I got from the sheer will of RNGesus. For those who don't know, people with the pirate background start with 50 feet of rope. My DM also allowed me to start with a cutlass instead of a short sword, so that was pretty neat. Regardless, my plan is simple. I want to take my cutlass and tie it to the end of my rope. Then I'm simply going to just start whipping people with my cutlass and slashing them from up to about 45 feet away. The last 5 feet reserved, so I have something to hold on to. Whether or not the DM allows this is really the deciding factor in how this goes, but I essentially now have a potential sword whip. The only possible issue being if somebody caught the rope and cut it, but I can always buy more rope. Now, what's your story? This isn't mine, but it's my fiance's most versatile improvised weapon. Potatoes. Between bludgeoning someone with a potato to poisoning people with rotten or green potatoes, he found a lot of uses for them that wasn't eating them or growing them. Also, can't forget the baby potato-filled musket. We always make jokes about actually implementing potatoes as a super cheap weapon option, a valid weapon option. A barrel. I was a drunken master Goliath in a one-shot. I made my monk weapon my brew barrel and would use it as a thrown and melee weapon. The first time I used it, I stuffed a bandit inside it and then shook him like you would mix a drink. My character was hit by 3 big harpoons. I pulled them out and I now use them as ammunition for a gun thing I have. I also recently used them to hunt down a whale. One of my friends was playing a druid when we ran into several oozes of medium size in an abandoned temple. While the rest of us engaged, he ran back outside and used his wood-shaped spell to make a giant bowl. By the time he got back, there were only 2 left, and he slammed his bowl down on top of one. He then shaped the wood into a sealed container with the ooze inside and set it alight. A bit unnecessary, but it brought us all some laughs. Playing cards. 1d4 damage darts. I used the power of reading as an improvised weapon, i.e. I threw the book at him. Literally. His name was Keith and he was an inquisitor. We were playing Pathfinder and I built him to use that book of his to its fullest. I'm still playing him to this day. Homebrew game system. Basic builds are 2 primary and 4 secondary slots. Primary gets 4 points per slot and secondary get 2 points per slot on level up. Had a player choose race as Dwarf Barbarian / Wizard, and used all his secondary slots for blacksmith skills. So, around level 5, I had them get captured and all weapons and gear were taken. This player grabbed one of the bars of their cell, used fire magic was based on MP in this homebrew, to heat the bar, ripped it out of the cell wall and used a rock to sharpen it. A guard enters to see what all the noise is and gets impaled. The player then dragged the guard over to their cell and pulled them through the still hot cell wall. Poor guy didn't survive. Player then shoves the pointed end of the bar through the rock he'd been sharpening it with and uses that as a club against the only remaining guard. They got their gear back and headed to the boss room for a fight that started with the dwarf screaming, "This is my new invention, the Rockman staff." He then proceeded to heat the bar and used it to launch the rock at the boss. It missed, but still was a funny way to start a fight. Myself played a pair of trapeze artist barbarian dwarves named Brogan and Hogan from a demon circus that were tethered together by an indestructible 5-foot rope. Their combined intelligence was 6 because they could use each other as their weapons. They would flip over each other with a hup, 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 vault into the air, then bash the enemy over the head by smashing their partner face first into the enemy. Their intelligence slowly went down over time and would never remember who the party members were. They ended up dying by flipping over each other and starting to roll down a glass shard covered slope, and they only stopped when they crashed into a wall at the bottom. One of my favorites is from another player at the table. They played a bard who, as soon as they had enough gold, silver-plated their loot. You can tell where this is going, but the best part was at level 4 when they took the Magic Initiate feat with Druid spells. Who knew a +5 silver loot could do so much damage to a lycanthrope cult? Context. My character, Gregoria, was a hand-to-hand fighter who liked to punch things. We were fighting brigands, and an NPC whom I liked very much got shot by an archer, and I threw Gregoria at him. She proceeded to grab the bow from her opponent and smacked them so hard they fainted. Rolling a crit helped. I actually spent the rest of the fight using the bow as a weapon to bonk every last one of the brigands, and then made it my primary weapon. It was a basic wooden bow, but I developed Gregoria's talents in bow wielding in close combat. NPC lived to tell the tale and became her personal herald. Not me, but another person I play with. So I play with a bunch of people who are new to D&D, myself included. Now, this person got interested in D&D through the popular YouTuber Dingo Doodle's Fool's Gold series, though he's never told us. How, may you ask, did I know this? His character was a druid, grew up and lived in a swamp, and loves potatoes. Cough, cough, old gothy, premiering in episode 7, cough, cough. Anyway, if you've seen Dingo Doodles, you know where this is going. Potato projectiles. He's not even reflavoring spells, just throwing potatoes. I admit, it's actually pretty funny, and with the fact the DM granted him proficiency in them, and that they can be used to give the poison condition, they actually are pretty good. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. Speaking of potatoes, but not the Fool's Gold campaign, we had a player in a campaign a couple years ago who played a female tabaxi rogue sorcerer named Potato because she couldn't think of a name. To her credit, she later expanded on this that her character's name was actually Mellow Wind, but she was a potato farmer who grew up on a potato farm with her parents. Her favorite spell was always Inflict Wounds. Recently, she got to play the character for a short bit in my campaign, and the first thing the party saw her do was absolutely destroy a werewolf with Inflict Wounds. Someone in the party, putting together that she was a potato farmer, asked, "Did she just cast Inflict Potatoes?" And we've called the spell Inflict Potatoes ever since. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. Scorp Snow. I used sleight of hand to plant anchor feather tokens on people, slipping it right under their armor. Anchor feather tokens are anchors that have been magically transformed into feathers for easy carrying. They will transform back into anchors when the word they are keyed to is spoken. I kept a bunch in an extra dimensional space and keyed them all to the same word. Since magic doesn't work across planes and extra dimensional spaces exist on another plane, only the feathers I have pulled out would activate when I said the key word. Let me tell you, it is difficult to fight someone when a full-sized ship anchor occupies your armor at the same time as you. Basically, take rope, a mug with a lid, and make sure the mug is wooden, and lots of gasoline, or something else flammable like that. Before a fight, always remember to light the cup on fire and swing it around a lot. We had recently killed a dragon and had been given a choice of magic item from its hoard and a bunch of gold. I chose a portable hole. Now, the thing with portable holes is that there is no mentioned way to rip or tear one, or the consequences if you can, so I decided to glue it to a shield. This shield has been dubbed the raccoon cage, inside joke about keeping raccoons inside a portable hole and opening it to cause a distraction. I use it in every encounter. Anything I charge at must succeed a dex save or end up in the hole. It doesn't hurt them, but it takes them out of the fight until they manage to climb out my shield, in which case I just pop them right back in. It also gave me a bonus to AC, so I've basically become a frontline vacuum cleaner, just sucking up enemies into the hole. A simple rope lasso has been so helpful for me in so many campaigns, lassoing characters back in teleportation circles, lassoing my way out of a river, hauling down flying creatures to ground them and then attack, saving myself from falling off a flying cathedral with a handy lasso on a gargoyle's head. Easiest, cheapest weapon to implement right now. In a recent game, I had my Avalon-esque Lady of the Lake character lop off a giant scorpion stinger and brandish that as a weapon to beautifully intimidating effect. She continues to do so, in fact. Not me, but another player in the party. Our dwarf cleric Barb took the leather straps on his crappy arena armor and ripped them off, tied a hammer to them, and made a hammer flail. He proceeded to kill an owlbear with it. Another player in a campaign I was in had a homebrew alcoholic subclass that was focused on improvised weapons and obviously drinking. Debuffs if he's sober. In the defense of a fort, he heard a gnoll on the other side of a door. It was a push door from his side. 3 rounds later, and 3 gnolls lay unconscious on the other side, as it swung open and closed for a 3rd time. Well, friends, that's all she wrote for today. I hope you got some great ideas to torment the DM and titillate the creative mind. If you have an example of a brilliantly improvised weapon, we want to hear about it in the comments below. If you have got another story that you'd like to maybe see on the channel, please deposit your experience and wisdom in our official subreddit, r/MrRipper, where we consistently comb for content to convert into more better content. And if you're looking for a group to start collaborating on your own stories with, we got your fix over at MrRipper's Group Finder, a Discord server that we put together to help you find a group. I hope that this week you have a laugh that hurts. I've been Dave Makes Noises. You have been an infinite cosmic being of light. Come find us on TikTok at MrRipper D&D, or you can find me on TikTok at Dave Makes Noises. Thanks again for watching. Please sub for Nat 20s, and we'll see you next time.